I found a VHS tape in the return bin that night, and when I picked it up, it was warm. That was the first thing that felt wrong. The plastic casing was warm, like someone had just been holding it. But the library was empty. I had locked the front doors myself 20 minutes earlier, did my final walk through the aisles, checked the bathrooms, shut off half the lights. Nobody was here but me. The tape had no label. Just a cracked black casing and a small piece of masking tape on the front with the number 1 written in marker. We had not rented VHS tapes in over a decade. The whole section got cleared out years ago when everything went digital. I should have just tossed it. But I was curious. We still had an old VCR in the staff room that management kept saying they would throw out. It just sat there on a metal cart collecting dust. I walked back through the empty aisles toward the staff room. My footsteps echoed on the tile floor. The room was cramped and windowless, lit by a single flickering fluorescent tube that hummed too loud. Rain tapped against the windows somewhere in the building. I plugged in the VCR and slid the tape in. The screen flashed blue, then filled with static and the grainy hum of old magnetic film. Then an image appeared, black and white footage, surveillance angle, a room, this room, same desk, same metal shelving, same clock on the wall showing 9:17. I turned and looked at the clock behind me. 9:17. My stomach dropped. The footage shifted slightly, the camera panning left. A woman entered the frame. Long dark hair pulled back, jeans and a library staff polo. She was shelving books, moving slowly, methodically. I stared at the screen. That was me. I was watching myself. Right now. From an angle I could not see. I spun around. The staff room was empty. No camera, no equipment, just shelves and boxes and the stupid humming light. On the screen, I watched myself turn around. The same motion. A 2-second delay. I raised my hand. On screen, I raised my hand 2 seconds later. My throat went dry without swallowing a single saliva. The angle shifted again. Closer now. Like someone was walking toward me with the camera. The footage zoomed in slightly, framing my back as I stood facing the television. I could see the screen within the screen. A recursive loop. Me watching me. I reached for the VCR to eject the tape. On screen, my hand moved toward the television. Then I froze. Because on the tape, when I stood back up, I was not alone anymore. There was someone behind me. Too close, just over my shoulder. A figure, blurred and distorted by the static. I whipped around. Nothing. Just an empty room. Me and the rain outside and the hum of the light. On screen, the figure leaned closer. I could not make out a face. Just a dark shape pressing in toward the back of my head. Then the footage glitched. Hard cut to black. White text appeared, scratched into the static like someone had carved it with a knife. Return box 2. The screen went dark. I stood there breathing hard. My hands were shaking. I hit eject and yanked the tape out, nearly dropping it. That was it. I was done. I was leaving. I turned off the VCR, left the staff room, and walked quickly back toward the front desk. My keys were in my bag. I just needed to grab them and get out. But when I reached the counter, another VHS tape was sitting there, right in the center of the desk. Same cracked black casing, same masking tape. The number on it said 2. I looked around the library. The lights were still on. The aisles stretched out empty and silent. Then I called out, "Hello?" My voice came out weaker than I wanted. There was no answer. Just the rain and the ticking of the wall clock. I looked back at the tape. It was sitting exactly where I would have to reach to pick up my bag. Quick note before we go deeper into this nightmare. If stories like this keep you up at night in the best way possible, subscribe to the channel. It is the only way I can keep bringing these stories to you. This happened back in 2019 when I was driving for a rideshare company. I had been doing it for about 8 months at that point, mostly to pay off student loans. The work was not glamorous, but it was flexible, and on good nights the pay was decent enough to make it worth putting miles on my car. The night this happened had been long and exhausting. I had already been driving for 6 hours straight, and my back ached from sitting in the same position. The air outside smelled faintly of rain and gasoline, that particular scent that cities get late at night when the streets are wet and the gas stations are still open. I was seriously considering calling it quits for the evening when the next request appeared on my phone screen. I almost ignored it. I was tired. My eyes hurt from staring at headlights. But the pickup point was only a few blocks away, and I told myself one more ride would not kill me. Just one more fare and then I could go home. The passenger's name on the screen was simple. Just the letter M. No profile picture, no rating history. That should have been my first warning. I pulled up to a narrow side street that I had never been down before, even though I thought I knew this neighborhood pretty well. The streetlights were dim and spaced too far apart. One of them flickered every few seconds, giving the entire street this sick, uneven rhythm that made my head hurt. The buildings on either side were old brick apartments with dark windows. Nobody seemed to be home. A figure stepped out of the shadows near a crumbling stoop. A man wearing a gray hoodie with the hood drawn up over his head. His face was barely visible in the dim light. He walked toward my car with slow, deliberate steps, opened the rear passenger door, and got in without saying a single word. The interior light did not come on. I tried the switch. Nothing. "Good evening," I said. "Where are you headed?" He did not answer. I waited, thinking maybe he was checking his phone, or he had some earbuds in his ears, properly listening to music on his phone. Then I looked at the app on my dashboard. The map showed our current location, but there was no destination, just the words "en route" in gray text. That was not right. Passengers always entered an address before I accepted the request. Then I called his attention one more time. "Do you have a drop-off location?" His voice came from directly behind my head. "Just drive. I will tell you when to stop." Like he was in control. There was something wrong about the way he said it, like he had practiced those exact words. But I started the car anyway. I needed the money. I pulled onto the main road and drove slowly through the empty streets. The man did not move. He did not speak. Every time I glanced in the rearview mirror, he was sitting in the same position, perfectly still. His hands were folded in his lap, staring straight at the back of my seat, not at the window, not on his phone, at me. I turned left at the next light, then right again. I had no idea where I was going. I was just moving, trying to think of what to do next. Then my phone screen flared white. The app had updated itself. A red dot appeared on the map. The screen now said, "Trip completed. Drop off. You're home." My home address, my full name, my apartment number, everything. I had never entered that information into the app. "What is this?" I said. "What the hell is going on?" I turned my head toward the back seat. It was empty. The passenger door hung open about 3 inches, swinging gently with the motion of the car. I did not hear it open. I did not feel him leave. He was just gone. I slammed the brakes so hard the car skidded sideways and stopped diagonally across both lanes. I jumped out and stumbled around with my phone flashlight, checking the street, the alleys, and under the car. There was nothing, no one, no footsteps, no sound except my own breathing and the engine ticking as it cooled. I got back in the car. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the wheel. The phone screen was still glowing. It still said, "Trip completed, 5 stars." But underneath that, there was something else. A message I had never seen before. Just one line of text. Thank you for the ride. I had just finished my shift at the grocery store, a small place on the east side of town. I worked evenings and usually got out around 11. The parking lot was nearly empty when I walked out of the store that night. Just a few cars scattered under the orange streetlights, their glow stretching across cracked asphalt that the owner kept saying he would fix. My car was parked in the back corner, where I always left it to avoid blocking anyone while I was on duty. I was maybe 10 feet away when my shoe caught on something. I looked down and saw a wallet lying right next to my front tire, old leather, worn at the edges, the kind that has been carried in a back pocket for years. I picked it up, figuring someone had dropped it and might come back looking for it. The parking lot had cameras. I could turn it in to my manager in the morning. I flipped it open. The first thing I saw was a driver's license behind the clear plastic window. My face stared back at me, same eyes, same haircut, same stupid expression I always make in photos. My name printed underneath, my birth date, my address. For a second, I thought maybe I had dropped my own wallet earlier without realizing it. I reached into my jacket pocket. My wallet was still there. I pulled it out and held both of them side by side under the streetlight. Identical. Same scratches on the leather, same coffee stain on the corner, even the same credit cards inside, arranged in the same order. But the license in the found wallet had something extra. Someone had carved a date into the plastic with something sharp, deep enough that I could feel the grooves with my thumb. Tomorrow's date. I opened the wallet wider, checking the other slots. There was a folded receipt shoved behind some old loyalty cards. The paper was stiff and stained with something dark that had seeped through from one side. I unfolded it carefully. It was from Murphy's Diner, about 3 miles from here. I had not been there in months. The receipt was dated 2 weeks ago. On the back, written in shaky red ink that looked like it had been applied with a fingernail, were 5 words. He will not let you leave. I looked around the parking lot. Empty. Silent except for the hum of the street light above me and the distant sound of traffic on the main road. No cars driving past. No one walking. Nothing. I shoved the wallet into an empty plastic bag from my trunk and got in my car. Locked the doors immediately. My hands were shaking as I started the engine. The drive home took 25 minutes. I kept checking the rearview mirror. No one was following me. The streets were empty, normal. When I pulled into my driveway, I noticed the porch light was on. I never left the porch light on, ever. It attracted bugs, and I hated bugs. I sat in the car for a full minute, staring at that light. My roommate Derek was supposed to be at his girlfriend's place tonight. The house should have been dark. I grabbed the bag with the wallet, got out, and locked the car. I walked up to the front door slowly. The key felt slippery in my hand. Derek? I called out as I pushed the door open. You home? Nothing. The air inside felt wrong, colder than it should have been. I always kept the heat at 72, but now I could see my breath fogging slightly in the hallway light. I walked through the living room. Empty. Checked Derek's room. Empty. Bathroom. Kitchen. Then I saw something on the kitchen table, right in the center under the overhead light, which was another receipt. Same diner. Same stiff paper. Same red ink. I did not want to pick it up. I did not want to read it, but my hand moved anyway. I unfolded it. 2 words this time. Welcome back. The lights in the kitchen went out. All of them. The whole house went dark.